Medical disclaimer. By watching the Vestibular Voices YouTube channel, you agree not to use the information shared as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultations with your healthcare provider. We are here to share stories and give hope. Please consult your own physician for any medication questions or medical issues you may be having. Our bodies are uniquely ours, and something that may work for one person may not necessarily work for you. Our vestibular journeys are as unique as the warrior carrying them. We at Vestibular Voices want our voices to be heard, so no one feels alone on this journey. Meet 6 Vita ambassadors, Marissa, Joy, Dave, Pat, Ariana, and Heather, sharing our personal experiences living with vestibular disorders. In this weekly conversation, we will share obstacles that we've overcome to find joy in our lives again, things we continue to struggle with daily, various life situations and how we handle them, and so much more, all to bring hope to vestibular warriors and their families, regardless of their diagnosis. Each week, we will be sharing our personal conversations over these topics and more. Won't you join in by sharing what you would like to hear about? Come join us and hear Vestibular Voices raw and unscripted.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vestibular Voices. I am Dave Juno. We're here with Heather, Marissa, Joy, and Pat. And today's subject is we're going to talk about feeling alone. It's something that I've seen posts, and I'm sure they all have too. So we're going to go with that for right now. And if it changes over to something, we'll talk about something else as well. So anybody want to get started with it, or?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
I feel that, you definitely experience loneliness when you're going through this and at different parts of your journey as well. And you kind of have to go through that grieving loneliness period in the beginning, that dark spot that we all kind of go to. And then you can kind of slowly pull your way out of there and get to a more positive place. But it's very real. The loneliness is very real. And I think we all experience it at some level.
Yeah, I found when I first had my issues come up, I was alone a lot. I didn't really want to drive a lot until I figured this out. And I was trying to keep busy, like around the house, but I just sat and I guess concentrated on the pain. And that wasn't the good thing. And I don't know when the turning point was when I decided, hey, enough's enough. Because at one point you have to change your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, it is.
Not easy. It's not easy for me. It was almost 2 or 3 years of feeling lonely. Yeah, sure, I was home with my wife. She'd be home from work or whatever. So not only that way, but constantly thinking about it. And I always like to look at the bright side of things. So when COVID hit, yeah, it was bad and everything. But during that COVID, my priest calls me and says, hey, we need to do live stream. We need to record mass. Do you think you can do it? I was hesitant. I was like, I've never done this before. And they went, well, okay, fine. Give me something. And I thought at that point, okay, it'll give me something to do. And then, okay, yeah, I learned a whole bunch of things. So now my mind was occupied again. And I came out of that and then started my channel, but I came out of it through believe it or not, COVID, where a lot of people went down and I went up because I started looking at things differently.
There,
Yeah.
there are so many support groups too. I'm sorry, Joy.
No,
There's
go
so
ahead,
many
Heather.
support groups too, especially the ones you guys run that we didn't have back when I first got diagnosed. And that is so
Yeah.
great. For any diagnosis or just the vestibular diagnosis in general, I mean, there are people out there that you can lean on. Just have to find that right community and
Yeah.
take some time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. For me, I felt alone. Even in a room of people, I felt alone. I felt alone, but I also didn't want to physically be alone. Like I didn't want to be left at the house for a long time. You know, what if something happens? You know, there was just always that fear of don't leave me alone, you know, and nobody really understood me. You know, your friends and family, they'd reach out to me. How are you doing? How are you feeling? It was just hard to explain. And I feel like when I found a support group, that's when I started to get a little confidence back for me.
Yeah, it was hard, but I've always said is I kind of was fortunate where my friends and my family were very supportive in the beginning, and I was kind of like rejecting it. Because and even my friends, even today, they still invite me. Even though they know there's probably 95% chance I'm not going, but they'll still invite. This weekend I got to go to a St. Patrick's Day party. I'm actually looking forward to it. I plan on going, but as we all know, with Meniere's and vestibular migraines, it can change at a time. But the other frustrating thing is that I'm deaf on one side and partial on the other. So half the time I spend there going, what? What? Or leaning in. And then people think I'm looking at their shoulder and they got something on their shoulder. Especially because every time I go to one of these things, it's always somebody that hasn't seen me. There's always one or two people that hasn't seen me in like 30 years. And they're just like, they don't ask me what's wrong. They ask my wife, what's wrong with your husband? And she just goes, ask him. He'll tell you all about it. But yeah, I mean, I was more pushing back because I just was like, this is not how I planned my life. Things are starting to go good. The kids are getting, the kids are getting older. It's our time to, we raised our kids now. It's my time to move along. It's Diane and I's time to travel and maybe buy a house down the Cape. Yada, yada, yada. That all changes.
Yeah. And did anyone else have this? I noticed, since, I've been diagnosed with this even before, I withdrew from social events. But now that I think back, I think I started doing that even before I had major symptoms. And I think back on it and I think I was feeling uncomfortable sometimes outside of the house, even before I knew anything was wrong. And it's hard. It's hard getting back out there, taking those invitations. So yeah, Dave, we're all going to be excited to hear about your Patty's Day.
Don't worry, it won't be any alcohol involved for me at least. Maybe some, if it's really bad, my friend Steve's always got a bowl going. He's the one having a party, so he smokes a lot of weed and he uses a lot of the THC vape. So if he's funny because if he sees me like doing this, or just like looks at my eyes and one eye's going here, he'll go, "Hey, come on, let's go vape." I'm like, "Okay," and then within 10 minutes, I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm not high. I'm just fine." And he's like, "Hey," he works at a hospital as the IT director, so he actually took the time to go to Beth Israel's ENT department and ask their doctors about Meniere's disease because he had a buddy that asked
Awesome.
him. Because I always have parties, we always invite him somewhere. And yeah, he's offered to drive me places, drive me to bars with him and to hang out and stuff. So, I'm kind of lucky. But yeah, it
Yeah.
won't be alcohol for me. Diane, that's another story for me.
I think for the loneliness too, I had my family around me as well, but you feel like you tell your family things, but you can only tell them so many times and you don't want to tell them again because you said the same thing. And then they would leave to go do something and I'd be alone. And I found the only way that I would be okay kind of with being alone and having all my feelings was to journal everything down. And that's what I did. I would just write everything down because I couldn't maybe tell someone at that moment. And that was okay. I wrote it down, it was there and kind of got the feelings out. So that really helped me a lot, was the journaling. And then the journaling actually turned into, so it was my negative thoughts and my feelings, but that actually turned into then gratitude. It became a gratitude journal eventually. And I still do that daily.
Do the same
Yeah, I
thing.
feel like when you're alone, there's so much time to think. And with vestibular disorders, I mean, there's just so much time, if you're not working or when you're not feeling well. And, it's what I've learned, it's what to do with your mind when you have those moments. I'm going to sit there and stew about everything, or, hey, is this going to be a time where I'm going to look up something positive, learn a new trick, learn a new skill. So that has been a positive, is learning to take that loneliness time and put that energy into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I escaped through books mainly. When I was getting too much in my head, I would find some positive books. Gabby Bernstein comes to mind first. And yeah, so I soaked up as much of that, or podcasts, or just even audiobooks as much as I could. The time I was the loneliest, I don't know if you guys can relate, was in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning, when my symptoms would wake me up and no one in the house was awake. And the only thing I had to lean on was social media. And I had to be careful where I went. We've all had this discussion before, but I did find an outlet and a community of people that were going through very similar things at that time of night. And it was their social media pages showed the bright side of life, and you didn't know about the darkness until you met with them in the middle of the night, and we're able to find some common ground and not feel so alone, because they were awake too, dealing with similar symptoms. It's finding that community, out our vestibular community, and leaning on our friends and family that try to understand. Like Dave, that friend that went out of his way to find that is the biggest compliment. I find that family or friends that dive into your diagnosis and try to learn more about it. It is amazing.
I've
and
had a few of them do it that shocked me. Because some people don't post on their personal Facebook about many years and things like that, which in a way that was part of the video I did today, because people complain that nobody knows about the disease. Well, post something about it on your Facebook. Make awareness. So, I do that. My friend, another friend of mine, Wendy, who I've known since I was 10th grade. She used to sit behind me in math class and literally twirl my curls during class. I mean, you guys, I saw the picture of me in high school a little while ago. She would sit there literally and go twirl my hair and go, "I love your hair. I love your hair." But we got to be friendly. She kind of was one of those people. I was very shy until 10th grade. She got me out of my shell. She literally got me out of my shell. And then I was a train wreck afterwards. I mean, it was just like, watch out. I created a monster. But she did too. She took the time to look it up. And then she called me out of the blue. She always had my number. I gave it to her at a reunion or whatever. Out of the blue, and she's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Is there anything I can do?" I looked it up, and she's telling me stuff that I didn't even know. And I'm like, "Whoa, Wendy, I didn't realize I was that important to you." She goes, "You've always been that important to me." But I'm like, wow. And now, like, I went out a few years, a few years ago. We were supposed to meet them to hear this band play. And Diane didn't want to go because she was out in Westfield with my daughter all day. She was tired when she got home. And I went, you know what? I don't give a crap. I'm going out. I've been trapped in this house. I'm going out. But I texted these people before that I wasn't coming. So I walk in, I sit down next to my friend Steve. Doesn't even know I'm there for 5 minutes. Finally, his wife turned around and went, "Dave's here. You just texted me like a half hour ago." I'm like, yeah. But I didn't know my friend Wendy was going to be there. And the next thing you know, she's coming up to me, bawling her eyes out. But then she acted like my surrogate wife, like helping, if I was walking up the stairs to the bar, she's like walking me up the stairs. I'm like, wait, you don't have to do this, I'm okay. She kind of went overboard, but it was very appreciative. I didn't get mad at her at all. I just was like, no matter where I was, she was like within distance, eyesight distance. And just coming up to me every couple of minutes, "You okay? You all right? You okay? All right?" I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, the band wasn't too happy with me when I went over to the soundboard and turned the bass down. And they were like, "What are you doing?" I mean, I knew the singer. "What are you doing?" I said, "You guys got the bass too loud. You're killing me." And then the lead singer, like, he's got Meniere's disease. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But after that, they asked me to do the sound one show, and I did. And I was like, I can't do this every week. I can't do this every week or every couple of weeks because all they play is these old 50s and 60s songs. I'm like, I can't do that. Learn some Rush songs, learn some Genesis songs. I can't do it. But yeah, it's amazing. Even family that you don't see, like, they took the time instead of, I shouldn't say all of them. I've got a couple of people like, think I should be in a wheelchair. I mean, come on. I got cousins like that live in the same town as I do. And if it's I get down, they're older than me. They're all 20, 30 years older than me. They're old enough to be my mother and father. But if I get down the street to the coffee place, they're all down there with
Me?
I wasn't saying that. They're older than you, Pat, believe it or not. But if I go down to the coffee place, down the street to get a coffee, because I don't feel like making it or whatever, they're sitting in there with all the other retirees for good. They're all yelling at me. "You're not supposed to be driving." I'm like, "Tell me what I can't do, what I can do." Your last name's not Juno. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah,
sometimes I get
driving,
really
not driving was
smart.
hard.
So there's only 2 women in this world I listen to. One I'm married to, and the other one is her mother. Other than that,
Okay.
but it's like, some, and I mean, I know they say because they care, but it's like, on the other hand, I gotta live my life. If I feel comfortable driving 2 miles down the road to get a cup of coffee, leave me alone. Should be say, "Hey, that's a great accomplishment." Not, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, not driving, that's hard. That was a hard one. That made me feel really lonely, kind of trapped at times because
Yeah.
you can't just leave on your own. You want to, I don't know, you want ice cream or you want to go to Target or somewhere. You just can't run out and get it yourself. I was having to depend on other people, and I still I just drive locally, just around the neighborhood. And it's
Was that
frustrating.
your choice, Joy?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
I've
was.
tried the highways and it was just when I got up to about 50, I think I just need some more practice, slowly doing it. That's what they say, kind of work your way up. But it's frustrating not being able to drive when you want, where you want. I just can't drive on a 100-mile trip anymore.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I've made peace with it, and it's just a new normal. When I travel, and maybe it's better not to travel alone. Hey, then I have an excuse to bring my family with me.
Yeah, my problem with driving was I was driving an Altima, which is low to the ground. So I would get sick driving down the street. I would start getting vertigo. But then when I started driving SUVs and higher up pickup trucks and higher up trucks, all that went away. And I asked my doctor about it. He was like, "You're low to the ground in a car, especially in Altima, because it's low to the ground. Everything's coming at you faster, so you're getting sensory overload. When you're up higher, everything's coming a little slower, so you're not getting the sensory overload." This my doctor wants me to try driving on the highway.
Wow.
At this point, he's like, you're not, because for a while, I'd go look over here and then I'd look here and I would still be seeing the wall. So now I'm not doing that anymore. He's like, "Yeah, I want you driving the highway." I'm like, "Okay, my next appointment over here." No, before you come to your next appointment, I want you to try to drive on the highway, see how you do. Okay.
That's a tough one when you haven't been driving for a while. I had to surrender my license for 6 months to go in front of a medical review board, and it was just jumping through hoops to get it back. And then when I did, taking the first trip just a couple blocks was so overstimulating. But after time, just trying it little steps over and over and over again,
Right.
just don't realize how much is coming at you all at once, But
Well, luckily, when I did start driving, because it wasn't very long, like sometimes I couldn't even walk because I hadn't been diagnosed yet with the PPV. I couldn't walk, but if I got in the car, I was more stable, and because I wouldn't fall anywhere. So I can drive. Ask Marissa if I drive well.
Yeah, even at night, I've driven with her.
Yeah.
We only got lost once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I
Well,
hear
and then
stories.
coming home, I was going back to my house instead of your house. But we got there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For me, the driving, this whole journey since having this, for over a decade now has been the hardest part for me because I've been so visually affected by everything. And my first onset with this illness came when I was driving.
Ooh.
So, that alone,
Mhm.
when you have, my son was about 2 at the time, and he was in the back of this car with me, in the back seat, and we were driving, and that's when my first onset was, and that was terrifying. And so the first 3 years with that, I couldn't drive physically because I couldn't focus on anything. It just made me so dizzy and sick. But then I had to fight that whole fear and panic, that I had when I would try to drive, because I thought the same thing was going to happen again every time I would drive. So I've had to conquer that many times with this. But I'm happy to say that I am driving again. And like Dave, I'm in a vehicle that's higher up as well. And that I do like that much better. I can agree with
It's
that.
much more comfortable. I drive a Murano.
Yeah, I do too. We had
Yeah,
that
yeah.
talk. Yeah, we have.
I think we get the same
the
color
same-
or something. didn't
Yeah,
we?
yeah. We have
Yeah.
the same car. So
And my
I'll have
wife
to pay
drives one
attention
too.
when I drive a truck again. I never noticed the difference, but I'll have to pay more attention.
yeah, I do feel better up a little
I just
higher.
bought that Murano. I had a black one. And
Yeah, I've
Diane
had a
drives
black
that
one too.
now. Yeah, Diane drives that. And because my daughter, I let her use my Altima when I was having trouble driving. Of course, she totals it. She's the worst driver ever. I don't care. I don't care if she sees this. Erin, you're the worst driver ever. So she totaled it. And I'm like, oh, great. So I couldn't drive at that point anyways. Doctor didn't want me to drive. But once he told me to start driving again, I bought an old Subaru. And I was doing well. It was a little higher up, but not as high as the Murano. But I was doing okay on short trips with it. And then my son John totals it. That's when I was looking at F-150 pickup and the Murano. They're the same price, same mileage, same year. Nice shiny red truck. Diane got in it, looked at me and went, "It's too big. It's too big." She looked lost in it. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll get tomorrow. But it's just as big as it's just as high up as the F-150. So I'm like, okay.
Higher vehicles, I do better in higher vehicles too. Even as a passenger, this feels more comfortable. Like on the road, yeah, I don't get as many symptoms.
Oh, if I'm a passenger in a car, depends who's driving. You know,
Yeah.
my mother-in-law's driving, I'm fine. If my brother's driving or my father-in-law, oh my God, I'm like petrified. I'm like this because they're nuts. I mean, I yelled at my father the last time he drove me to the doctors. I was like, pull over. And he was like, what? Pull over. Oh, what are you gonna puke? I'm like, no. He pulls over. I go, now get out. He goes, what? Get out. I got out, walked around, got in the driver's side. He got in the passenger side. I drove because I was just like, he's speeding up, slowing down, speeding up.
Oh,
Just drive. You know. So I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. You know, but I just couldn't because I told him, I said I was starting to get sick just from you speeding up and slowing down. You know, you just
Yeah. Yeah, that causes symptoms. When we drive somewhere, if my husband's taking me to the doctors and he goes so slow, I'm like, speed it up, buddy. Come on. I'm like, oh, it drives me crazy.
yeah, it does.
I know Pat drives at night because I've driven with her, but do any of you have trouble driving at night? I know that's something I don't usually drive at night. I don't usually have to, but there's been a couple times, since the time, luckily it will be getting lighter soon, but that's something I have trouble with. Just the oncoming lights are so bright and I can't, see in the darkness on the sides of me. So it kind of makes me feel a little disoriented, and so I'm struggling a little with that.
I'm used to
I drive differently.
I've noticed the last couple of weeks since I got the new glasses with the blue light filter,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an issue driving at night. I've noticed last
Oh.
weeks, like going to the supermarket. The other night I had to go down to church or something, and we go to the supermarket afterwards, and she's like, "Oh wait, you can't drive at night." I'm like, "No, let me see how I do," and I was fine.
So you think the blue light glasses
Yeah,
help?
and I
at
also
night?
noticed the headlights weren't as bright.
Hmm.
But then again, you got the knuckleheads who got those bright LEDs that they have to.
Oh, I hate those things.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know why
I don't
they
have a problem driving at night. I have a problem driving in the rain.
The
Well,
rain.
yeah,
rain,
that's hard too if
so
it's really bad. Yeah. And the snow, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The snow. Well, Dave knows the snow. Yeah, too.
I thought I was gonna have trouble driving in the snow while it's snowing. And last Friday when I went to the doctors, it was snowing. I was fine. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was coughing my head off. I don't know. Yeah, so far I'm not coughing during this, but it's been a nightmare.
Yeah, I wouldn't try driving in the snow. I haven't driven in the snow in like 26 years, so I'm not even gonna try it.
Well, I'm gonna make sure a snowstorm comes down there.
Well, we may get a chance tomorrow. It's supposed to snow tomorrow.
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were talking about us getting a big storm, and now they're saying nothing. We're not getting anything. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I just want to go fishing. I just can't wait till April 1st.
Well, I know we're not getting snow.
Well, you don't
Yeah,
know.
I know.
Joy wasn't expecting snow when they had it.
No. It's just whoever thought the weather would affect you like this so much. It's
Yes.
it's
It's the
crazy.
barometric pressure that
Mhm.
does it, you know. It's
Do
like my
any of you use
house.
the WeatherX?
I
Do
don't.
any of you?
I
No.
have
just-
them, but I haven't used them yet. I
Give
get
it a
all
try.
the notifications, but yeah, no, I haven't used them yet.
I
Have
just
you?
downloaded it. So
Oh, okay. Does anyone here use them?
I haven't tried them yet. I have the app and it was annoying me because
Yeah, because
it
it's all the
was-
time.
yes, it is all the time. And my body will tell me when I'm having it, but I think I'm gonna try them because I've heard heard really good things about it when you get the right size. I think the biggest
Oh,
complaint is the wrong color and the wrong size.
the earplugs.
Yeah, the Weather X.
Yeah, I just ordered them because I'm noticing now the medicine I'm on now is reducing the pain, but when the weather changes, it goes back up.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll have to
So-
order some and we'll have to report back and
Yeah.
see how we do.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I don't like things in my ear for some reason. Like I wear my earbuds during mass because the idiot pianist has to slam on the keys. But I really, I don't know, it just feels funny having something. I'm always,
You have to
know,
get
I think
used
I'm
to it.
worth it. I think I'm gonna try it just for the ear pressure that I have with barometric pressure changes. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
What's it gonna hurt? What's it like $15 or something? They're not real expensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Right.
just get them off Amazon, and I
And
know I have a pair, and I tried them for a little bit, and oddly enough, it helped my tinnitus in my right ear for a
Oh,
little
yeah?
bit, and then, but it didn't last too long. So, or it didn't, the relief didn't last too long, I should say.
okay.
yeah, the only time I ever had relief from tinnitus was taking prednisone.
Mm.
So for 2 or 3 weeks, I had no tinnitus, and then it hit like a ton of bricks after that.
Aw.
Yeah, we were talking about loneliness, and yeah, I'm never alone with my tinnitus. It's always right there with me.
Yeah, tinnitus is always there.
It's always there.
So what are your final
Mine
thoughts
only
about
pops
all
in.
this? Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay, Heather, go ahead. I talked over you.
No, you're fine. I was just saying mine pops in when I'm starting to get stressed, but knock on wood, it's quiet unless things start amping up in my life. But
Mine's
Mm.
roaring right now, to be honest with you. It's been roaring all afternoon.
Mm.
But so, what are your final thoughts as we wrap up this, our first real video that's not an introduction?
I think it's normal that you're going to have those feelings of loneliness and, those feelings where you don't have hope and, but then it's going to turn around and you'll see you start being more positive, and it's just, you almost have to go through it, I feel like.
Yeah, you have to go through the grieving process. And that's basically what it is. It's a grieving process.
Yeah. But
Exchange.
it does get better. It does get better.
It gets better, but in the beginning, you know, denial and all that, and then once you accept, what I've learned is once you've accepted it, things get better.
Yeah.
So that's my final thought. So I don't know anybody else.
it is lonely at times, but you don't have to go through this alone. Nowadays, there are so many communities out there, and find when you resonate with it, you connect with, because they're all different personalities out there, and just grab onto them and hang on to them.
There's a lot of different personalities.
Yes.
Well, my final thought is don't be surprised if you lose some friends when you start out, because they don't understand, they aren't willing to understand, but it's all part of it. And then you make new friends. I have some new wonderful friends that I'm with now that help a lot. So that's my final thought.
Yeah, my final thought is just that it's okay to reach out for help. You don't, it's okay to join a group and meet other people. I think that's what I've learned through this, kind of with the loneliness. It's okay to reach out to people, even your own friends and family, and let them know, hey, I'm kind of going through this and I just needed someone to talk to. You don't have to have the answers. I just wanted someone to talk to. And I've been growing with that. That's kind of what I've learned through this.
Somebody to vent to.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, that's the end of the video, folks. We do usually have another person on with us. Ari, she couldn't be here tonight. Ari, we miss you, and we'll catch you in the next video. And I hope you enjoy this. This has been Vestibular Voices. Take care, and there are better days coming, believe me. So take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.